There's been a lot of talk about Alek Manoah, and in his most recent start, he was dominant with AAA Buffalo, and it came in good timing for the Toronto Blue Jays because Yariel Rodriguez is out with an injury right now. There's some uncertainty around Bowden Francis, and Alek Manoah may be on his way back up to the big leagues. So this was a great step in the right direction for him. So we'll have that on this episode of Jays Digest. Just a couple of roster moves that the Jays made and some moves in general. So stay tuned for what's coming up next.
Yeah,
Now,
go
Jays
ahead.
fans, welcome in to Jay's Digest. No intro. We're rocking with the no intro right now, Nick, because he's not in his usual setup. But I'm your host, Peter Vryonis, alongside host Nick Gosse. And Nick, yesterday was just great to see Alek Manoah get back on the right track. And I know we're not going to call it a comeback here, and we've been pretty down on the guy the past year plus, but it was great to see him have a good outing, struck out 10, I believe, and just solid. We said we didn't want to see him try to outduel Paul Skeens. He may have went and done that yesterday. Like we were expecting him. Okay, Paul Skeens is going to have the sexy stat line at the end of the day, all the strikeouts, and he's going to be the one looking good on the box score. But we wanted Alek Manoah to go ahead and handle his business, and he did that and then some. And he actually outdueled Paul Skeens yesterday, who is the top pitching prospect in baseball. And I still don't know why he's in the minor leagues, but he is in the minor leagues for the Pittsburgh Pirates. And I mean, another dominant display from him. But Manoah, his first dominant display ever since pitching in AAA Buffalo, and hopefully he can keep this going moving forward.
Yeah, we have a lot of news to discuss. Bear with me for my setup. That'll get back to normal over the next few days. But I was at the game yesterday, Peter. Really bad display of offense and everything. But let's just get right
Not
into it.
good.
Jays are making moves here, and this happened, I believe, yesterday or the day before yesterday. And this is going to be very important going forward. And we kind of made a video on it before the move was official. But you can see it here. Yariel Rodriguez has been placed on the 15-day IL, and Zach Pop has been recalled to AAA and was active for the game yesterday and the day before. But Peter, I watched Yariel Rodriguez pitch in his last start. He was looked pretty good to me. Obviously, something came up. He's now on the 15-day IL, which brings back Zach Pop. But as we discussed before, the minor league starting depth is kind of gone now. We have Mitch White gone, Wes Parsons gone, and now Ricky Tiedemann injured. So Alek Manoah was the big storyline here. But do you have any quick thoughts before we move into the Manoah start on the fact that Yariel got hurt? Hopefully, it's not anything too crazy. I think they're being cautious here, but not a great sign given, I mean, the Jays' blatant need for a fifth starter if he's down.
Right now, I want to see them wait before calling Manoah back up, and I'm saying this because they still have Paolo Espino who can start in a pinch for you. He's a veteran, a lot of MLB experience, a lot of baseball experience in general. So I love what I saw from Manoah yesterday. I think it's a step in the right direction, but at the same time, you got to balance that with, okay, let's see it a little bit more consistently before we call him back up. And I thought Yariel Rodriguez has been really solid up until this point, and we knew that the workload would catch up to him eventually. We knew that he may not be able to make it through a full 162 as a full-time starter, but that came a lot sooner than some Blue Jay fans may have been expecting or may have been hoping for in that case. So he's now sidelined for at least 15 days. We don't know how much longer it's going to be apart from that, but still, it has potential to linger. And back tightness is nothing to sniff at. So you got to be careful with that if you're the Jays, and you don't want to rush him back either. So Manoah, he's got to keep these performances going. He's got to keep building up and show that he belongs in the big league level. But one start after a couple of really bad starts and very shaky starts, I don't think it's enough for me personally if I'm Ross Atkins to call him back up. So I'm going to hit the hold button on that. I want to see it more consistently in Buffalo. And let's say you give me 3 or 4 starts in succession that look pretty good and that you're building and that you're ready, then I'll call you up. But you got to pick your poison here if you're the Jays. I know it's the easy way out to kind of go with Manoah, someone who has valuable MLB experience and the skill set that Paolo Espino doesn't. But at the same time, you got to prioritize his development and just getting him back to being Alek Manoah. And I don't know if you do that if you bring him up after one good start in Buffalo.
Yeah, I tend to agree. And regarding the move side, hopefully Liariel ends up being fine. But let's get into it. It was one start, but he did surprise everyone, Peter. Everyone was thinking he was going to go in there and be dominated by Paul Skeens. And before the game happened a couple days ago, we said that it doesn't matter how he compares to Paul Skeens, it matters how he really compares to himself. And John Schneider spoke out on the start, and he said Alek Manoah's start yesterday with AAA was very encouraging. Obviously, it happened day before yesterday, but no decision has been made yet on whether he'll start for the club. Kind of echoing what you said there. And Ben Nicholson-Smith had some insight saying they're still working through the plans for the fifth starter spot. Manoah is very much a candidate for the Sunday start, but the Jays could also go with a bullpen day, someone like Espino, who is struggling a bit at Buffalo, but has experience. And if you missed kind of his start, he went right up against Paul Skeens. He had 12 Ks, 6 innings, 2 hits, 1 earned run. Skeens had no earned runs, less strikeouts. But Manoah, at 12 strikeouts was something that he hadn't done in so long. And Chris Black kind of mentioned that he threw more sliders than he had ever had in his MLB career, and his 13 whiffs tied his MLB high, which was in 2021. And Peter, we obviously know his slider hasn't had the same bite, it hasn't had the same movement, really the same oomph at all, like regarding how he's been in the past compared to especially last year and previous years. This is good to see, and the peripherals are there, but I'm with you. I think you need to see at least another start, but I don't know if the Jays necessarily think that they have time given the injury here. I would like to see a bridge start with Paolo Espino. Obviously, he's not a great pitcher, but give one more start for Manoah, and if he can replicate it again, then get him in there so that way he can be the fifth starter or at least maybe even piggyback off Yariel in the future for the long term.
Yeah, the thing with Manoah is that everything starts and ends with his fastball. He's got to be able to dictate with his fastball, get ahead with his four-seamer, and then attack hitters with this slider or his other off-speed pitches like the changeup or even the two-seam to some degree. So he's got to be able to get ahead, and by all accounts, he did yesterday. His fastball was, or the day before, sorry, his fastball was touching 94 consistently. He hit 96 a couple of times. He's never been a big velo guy, so we haven't had concerns with the velocity with Alek Manoah, but it has been the movement on his pitches. It has been just the sharpness of his pitches. He hasn't been able to locate in the past year plus, and that's been his biggest downfall. It's not the velocity, it's not the bite on his pitches. He hasn't been able to throw his fastball for a strike, and that's a crucial pitch, not only for Manoah, but for every pitcher in Major League Baseball. You got to be able to get ahead and then kind of work your magic with your other stuff. And Manoah's got good stuff. He's shown flashes of that. He finished second in Cy Young voting. Like, this is not some scrub that's trying to make his way back to the major leagues. He's been there, done that, and obviously might have been a short-lived all-time high for Manoah, and he may never get back to that, but the talent is there. There's no denying that the talent is there. So he's got to be able to figure out his fastball, be able to get ahead against these hitters, and then dictate the at-bats, because he's been getting dictated by the hitters. He hasn't been the one doing the dictating, and that's been the big issue with him. It's just the consistency. It's the control. I'm not worried about stuff or movement. I'm worried about him throwing strikes, and then the outs are going to come. You see guys with a lot worse stuff get outs at the big league level because they're able to throw strikes, and they challenge you. They challenge you. Even if they're throwing 93, they're saying, here it is. Here it is on the inside corner. Here it is on the outside corner. Here it is on the top end of the zone, on the bottom end of the zone. Go ahead, try and hit it. And Alek Manoah just has not been able to do that in the past year plus. So that's what I want to see him get back to. And I think this is a good step in the right direction. But I'm with you, Nick. Don't rush him back to the big leagues. Let him marinate a little bit longer in AAA. Keep him there all season if you have to. If that means we get Alek Manoah back to being Manoah, then I think it's worth waiting 162 games to do it.
Yeah, and the Jays have a lot of off days over the next, I think, 10 games or something like 3 off days in there. And the offense, which we'll probably cover in a video tomorrow or the day after, it's been really bad, and hopefully they can get going. But the offense, they need good offense before, or else this Alek Manoah will not matter whatsoever, whatever he does. But that'll wrap it up. Let us know your thoughts are on this. If you want to check out a video from yesterday, click on your screen now, and we'll see you soon.